together, I want to express my own appreciation for the experience which I have had during these 3 Wednesday nights. Mrs. Thurman was very much confused because she thought that I had had a slip of something, that I agreed to come down every Wednesday night for 3 Wednesday nights, when for a year she'd been trying to get me to do something and I didn't do it. So I invited her to come with us tonight so she could see for herself. I also wish to express my appreciation to the committee and to all of you who have been coming each Wednesday and, as the youngsters say, hanging in despite the difficulties, because you couldn't hear. I didn't speak loudly enough, but whatever it was. If you didn't hear, I'm sorry, because it meant you wasted your time and I wasted mine. Tonight, I hope that you can hear, and if you can't, then I will do all that I can to protect myself for tomorrow by saying as loud as I can what I have to say. My thinking tonight is divided into 2 sections. I want to take some time to read 2 or 3 things before I begin thinking with you. The first 2 things that I'm reading are taken from a very remarkable book by Oswald McCall. And the title of the book is The Hand of God. It's out of print, and as many good books are, it has been out of print for some time. If you can find it in a second-hand bookstore or anywhere else, please secure it. It is one of the great books having to do with the inner pilgrimage of the human spirit. It is called The Hand of God. And these first 2 things come from it. His name shall be in their foreheads, said the book. They shall see his face, and his name shall be there. They became like that which they loved, said the book. Then I fell to dreaming, and the Spirit spoke to me until I knew not whether to shudder or rejoice. Be under no illusion. You shall gather to yourself the images you love. As you go, the shapes, the lights, the shadows of the things you have preferred will come to you invariably in everything as bees to their eye. And there in your mind and spirit, they will leave with you their distilled essence, sweet as honey or bitter as gall, and you will grow unto their likeness, because their nature will be in you. As man sees the color of the wave, so shall man see in you the thing you have loved most. Out of your eyes will look the spirit you have chosen. In your smile and in your frown, the years will speak. You will not walk, nor stand, nor sit, nor will your hand move, but you will confess the one you serve, and upon your forehead will be written his name as by a revealing pen. Clever select, skillful words to cast a veil about you, and the circumspection will never sleep. Yet will you not be hid, no. As year adds to year, that face of yours, which once like an unwritten page lay smooth in your baby crib, will take to itself lines and still more lines as the parchment of an old historian who jealously sets down all the story, and there more deep than acids etch the steel will grow the inscribed narrative of your mental habits, the emotions of your heart, your sense of conscience, your response to duty, what you think of your God, what you think of your fellow man, what you think of yourself. It will all be there, for men become like that which they love. And others, thou hast given me this mind, and thou hast set me with it in a world of ideas that clash with many things I was taught to think. Dost thou wish me to board up my mind's windows and refuse to look out? Some demand this of me. What dost thou demand? Art thou most pleased by my always continuing to believe, even against evidence, what I was earlier taught to believe? Does that please thee most? Dost thou thyself know everything in that book to be truly and finally thy word, everything finally? Dost thou find acceptable all the creeds, or the Apostles' Creed, the Westminster Confession? Art thou very glad for them and satisfied? Have I been given no opinions thou wouldst change if I would let thee? And have they defined and described thee aright? Wouldst thou change anything? Is it all adequate, Lord? Which is it, Lord? If I think, shall I lose thee? Or shall I lose thee if I do not think? Is thy command found here in these laws and virgins of my mind? Indeed, not to lose thee, O my God. But ever to find and know thee more and more, this is become all my hope and all my prayer. A curse on him who relies on man, who depends upon mere human aid, for he is like some desert scrub, set in a solitary place in the steppes. But happy is he who relies on God, who has God for his confidence, for he is like a tree planted beside a stream, sending his roots down to the water. He has no fear of scorching heat. His leaves are always green. He goes on bearing fruit when all around him is barren. and he looks out on life with quiet eyes. We come to the end of our journey together, and tonight I want you to think with me for a while about the fruits of the religious experience. You may remember that earlier we thought of the religious experience as being very private, very personal, very intimate. In a sense, it seems to me that when we share profoundly and intimately and personally in the religious experience, it is as if in that experience we, or I, let us say, alone exist in all the universe. Only myself and God. All of our horizon is sealed. It is private, it is personal, it is intimate and breathtaking, because in that moment, it seems like a moment, maybe an eternity, I don't know, because time has no relevancy in this dimension of our experience. In that moment, it seems as if something deep at the core of me opens up to the same quality that surrounds everything. And the language that I use is that in the religious experience, God comes to himself in me. And therefore, I am on the scent of this. In all of the wide-ranging manifestations of my experience, I stand in my place, doing my work, living my life, but there's a part of me that sniffs the air, that bathes down the highways of my life, trying to find in the world external to myself that which has come to itself in me. And this is why we mentioned earlier that Judge Fox said when he came down from Temple Hill, all the world had a new smell. The song that we used to sing when I was a boy, when you come out of the wilderness, your hands look new, your feet look new, the world looks new. This is what is being said, and it's true to me that when God comes to himself in me, I then look for him everywhere, in everything. The whole and total dimensions of my life become in themselves sacramental. And so, it has direct bearing then in terms of the fruits. How I relate to my fellows It is interesting to me that in my reading of the transcendent and dramatic place that the whole love ethic has in the religious experience of Jesus, that it is not the thing that binds one man into another. The whole meaning of the love ethic, as we call it now, in a sophisticated way, is not moral exclusively, and sometimes I think not ethical primarily, but it's spiritual. It's spiritual. It's trying to get trying to unlock the door in you that lets God out of prison. You remember when the master talks about the climax of human history? It's very dramatic. The king is on the throne, and the king is an oriental despot. You get it. You remember the scene. We call it the Last Judgment. The sheep on the right, the sheep on the right and the goats on the left. Now, the interesting thing is, what determines whether a person goes to the right or the left? Is it the arbitrary judgment of the despot on the throne? Is it some measuring of deeds and access? But what does he say? Not a man was sick. I was sick. Not a man was in prison. I was in prison. Not a man was naked. I was naked. And you did or did not. That I love you, I administer to your needs in order that God might come to himself in you. So that the whole love ethic about which we speak so much is ingenious, spiritual, I think, more than or even rather than ethical and moral. Now, think about it tomorrow before you disbelieve tonight. So that when I administer to human needs, what I'm doing is making it possible for the needy person to experience God's coming to himself in him in that condition. And this is one of the reasons why it seems very unfortunate, but quite understandable psychologically, I think, that thinking of the love ethic or thinking of ethics even, or morality in terms of the fruits of the religious experience, we are apt to make a system, to make a system out of the ethics, out of morality. For instance, this is what we've done in Christianity. We have made a system out of the love ethic, so that it is something that I can handle, that I can manipulate, that I can use without involving myself primarily in the idiom that I'm trying to express, so that I can become a professional lover with no spiritual values on myself. I can manipulate it out here and stand behind and not be involved. It is just something that's happened before in the history of religions. You may recall that in Hinduism, the whole concept of reverence for life at first was a spiritual and ethical judgment that settled in the mind and the walk and woof of the devout and dedicated Hindu believer. And then the time came in the development of the religion that reverence for life became a technique, a method, a skill, so that it could be manipulated by the conscientious Hindu with nothing binding on himself. He was back here, and the ethic was here. He applied it here, he applied it there, he applied it there. And out of the agony that was created in the soul of that religion, there was born Buddhism, which once again reintroduced the private, personal participation in the ethic. And this is what we did, and this is the temptation always, isn't it? And this is what we have done. The fruits of the religious experience in terms of morality and value is that in the religious experience, God comes to himself in me, and I, because of that experience, I see and feel myself now as the tabernacle of God. So that my self-worth, my self-estimate is lifted. Jesus expressed this in a very extraordinary picture. Do you remember? It was mid-passage in his career when some man brought a woman to him, taken in adultery. You remember? And they said to him, "We caught her in the act of adultery. The law says that she should be stoned to death. You say that you came upholding the law. What is your judgment in this matter?" You remember how the Master dealt with that? He said, "Let the man among you who is without spot or blemish, let him cast the first stone. After that, anybody can throw." And there was a long silence while the Master doodled on the ground. Hearing no cry, no anguish, no scream from pain, he lifted his countenance down, and apparently as I read the text, he looked at her now for the first time. He did not want to mingle his gaze with the stares of these others. He was such a gentleman. And then he said, "Where are they? Does no man condemn thee?" "No, no man, Lord. Neither do I." God. she was where she should have been. And by so doing, he literally believed her into the maximum experience of the blossoming of God in her life. So the first, and perhaps the most crucial fruit of the religious experience, that of God which I discover in my primary religious experience when I'm stripped of whatever there is in me that is literal and irreducible. And I discover that. Then, unthwarted, everywhere, you. And I make the great miraculous discovery that when I open myself this way to the religious experience, and I make the surrender of myself in terms of the healing of the nerve center of my consent, as I talked about the other night, then another kind of miracle takes place. I give myself to him in the surrender, and he gives me back to me. And there's so much more to me now. And what has been the gift of him to me, I become the bearer of that gift to you and you. As Madame Guillaume said, that she goes all over the world giving birth to Jesus Christ and other human beings. It's a quaint way of putting it. But the essence is there. I give myself, and I have myself given back to me. And that's just an aside for a minute. And that's what the love experience is. The miracle of love is that when I love someone and I give myself, they give me back to me. And I'm so much richer because when I'm giving back to me all the things that I didn't have before, I gathered when I was visiting you, that I bring them back to me. Now, the second thing, in terms of fruit, is it, how do I say this? Yes, I discover that my religious experience there must never be demanded of my religious experience those things, anything, that the energy of my religious experience cannot provide. Now, let me spell it out for 2 minutes. Because this deals with one of the central issues facing the Christian church in this year of 1908. And it is this. Is there a relationship between the load that I expect my religious experience to carry and the depth of my religious experience? experience, what it doesn't have enough energy to give. Now, to apply it in terms of what is facing the Christian church today, can any sectarian religious experience, can any sectarian religious experience supply enough energy, enough vitality, enough power to energize a world community? Can any sectarian religious experience support and sustain the demands of a universal morality? Or must the religious experience increasingly be as deep, as profound as is the ethic that is being required of this experience to support it in the world? Do I then make it personal, or do you demand of your religious experience that it support a world of values, of relationships that exhaust it? Or does it mean that a part of the discipline of religious experience is always to deepen it and deepen it and deepen it and deepen it, so that the more that is demanded of it in the transformation of the world, the farther down it must go to get energy and strength to sustain it? When I was in fellowship church, just to illustrate what I'm talking about, I would go east for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks in the winter time to do something, to talk everywhere. And the purpose of the talking was twofold: to get support for the church in its struggle, and also to pay my life insurance. Now, and this meant 4 weeks doing something every day, every night. And when I would come back, my secretary, who was a man, would meet me sometimes as far away as the capital of the state, Sacramento, as far away as Sacramento, and ride with me in San Francisco to brief me on what was going on while I was away. And one day he said to me that a new group has formed while you were away, and he talked about it and how excited everybody was, and be waiting for you to get back so that you can do, whatever prime mover does under those circumstances. And I said, no, I need about a month or a little longer, because every time a new limb goes out of a tree, we have got to deepen the root system, so that the root system now will get energy enough to support this new limb. If not, the new limb will take strength from all the others, and all the fruit will begin to disintegrate. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That what I demand in terms of the transformation of the world, or what my enlightened mind demands, or what my enlightened heart, or whatever the vision of God that is in me